What's up, YouTube? It is day 15 of my 30-day challenge, and today we are talking about bench press strength, really all strength, but specifically I got into a conversation with a young woman who was really frustrated with her bench press. It wasn't increasing, she wasn't adding more weight, and she was like, I'm in a plateau. Like, my bench press is not going up. And so first question I always ask is, well, how do you know you're in a plateau? And she was like, it's not going up, I'm not getting stronger, I'm not increasing my weight. And that line of I'm not getting stronger, as I want to go back to it in a minute, but basically I was like, okay, so when was the last time you increased your bench press strength? Like, when did the last time you put more weight on the bar? She was like, I don't know, like a month ago. I was like, okay, let's think of it this way. And this is really, really important to remember. Let's say, for example, you can bench press 100 pounds, just for a round number. If you add 10 pounds a month to your bench press, every month you add 10 pounds. At the end of a year, that's an extra 120 pounds on your bench press. So if you're benching 100 pounds, that's another 120. So that's 220 pound bench press. Now, that's a really good bench press. It's a very good bench press. There are very few women, even in higher level powerlifting, who can bench press 220 pounds. There are very few men who can do that. In the grand scheme of the world, very few men can bench press 220 pounds. But let's say you go another year adding 10 pounds to your bench press, right? 10 pounds a month to your bench press. That's another 120 pounds. So 220, 120, that's 340. So now we're like, there are very few men who can do that. Like, even as you get into higher level powerlifting, 340, right? You add another 120 pounds, 460. Like, these are very high numbers. It wouldn't take that many years to get to 1,000 pound bench press. It'd be less than 10 years, right? I think it'd be like, what, 7 or 8 years to get to 1,000 pound bench press? No one's doing that. And so it's important to remember, you're not going to add weight to your bench press or any lift every session, every week, every month. And the stronger you get, the longer it's going to take to add more weight to your lifts. So if you're expecting to add 10 pounds a month to your bench press every month, you're setting yourself up for failure and disappointment, because you're not going to do that. It's important to remember that when you first start lifting, you could add weight to your lifts almost every session. It's just going to keep adding on 2.5 pounds here, 5 pounds here, 10 pounds here, especially the lower body lifts. You're going to add like 5 to 10 pounds very consistently. That doesn't last forever. If it lasted like that forever, you would be squatting, bench pressing, deadlifting over 1,000 pounds in a matter of several years. The reason most people fail and actually give up with strength training is because they have completely unrealistic expectations of what's realistic, and so they quit. They're like, well, I'm not making progress. No. You are making progress. You don't think you're... It's the same thing with your scale weight, right? Like, if you feel like you're not losing weight, you're not losing fat because the scale isn't going down as quickly as you want. When you're measuring your body weight on the scale, you shouldn't measure it day to day, because it's going to fluctuate up and down, up and down. You measure it month to month. So like June 1 to July 1, July 1 to August 1, August 1 to September 1. You measure it that way and you're going to get a better trend. If you're judging your strength week to week, Monday to Monday, it's completely irrelevant, because your body goes through waves of strength. Especially for women, a lot of women, they'll be stronger at different times of the month and weaker at different times of the month related to their menstrual cycle. I see it all the time. A lot of times right before a woman's period, I see this, a common pattern is right before their period, leading up to it, really weak, really tired, and right after their period, wicked strong, strongest time of the month. And that's not for every woman, it changes, but for men, like, you'll have ups and downs as well. But point being, you're not going to be getting linearly stronger in the same way that you don't linearly lose weight. It's a cycle, and you have to keep track of the trend over time on a realistic basis of like month to month, where are you going, versus day to day or week to week, and even month to month. So, and the point of I'm not getting stronger, you are getting stronger. You absolutely are. You're just not, you're only focusing on one measurement. Only looking at how much weight you're lifting is setting yourself up for failure, because there's more than that in terms of strength. For example, let's say you can do more repetitions with the same weight. Like you could do, let's say you're using 100 pounds and you could get 5 reps, but now you can get 8 reps. That's stronger. Let's say you can do the same weight with better technique. You're stronger. Let's say you can do the same weight with more control, time under tension. So instead of like a 2-second eccentric, you can do it for a 4 or 5-second eccentric now. That's stronger. There are so many ways to get stronger, to gauge your strength increases. Only focusing on the weight on the bar is so narrow-minded and absolutely going to set yourself up for failure and disappointment, because it's not actually a realistic view of what's going on. So that's it. That's really all I have to say on this topic. I'm trying to think if there was something else I wanted to say. Oh, a brief background. When I was competitive powerlifting, at like the height of my competitive powerlifting career, my best deadlift was 4 times body weight deadlift, 535 pounds at a body weight of 132 pounds. That was like my all-time best. It's like one of the only people in the world to actually deadlift 4 times their body weight. If you look at my career from the time I started lifting to the time I did that, it was a decade of lifting before I got to that point. Now, a lot of people, like, they just look at other, especially with Instagram now and with a lot of with social media, people will post their best lifts, and this happens a lot in the physique community. Like a lot of bodybuilders and physique competitors in general, they'll post pictures of when they were competing at their leanest and most shredded, but they don't really post pictures of where they are after the show. And a lot of times they'll purposefully not do that because they feel bad about the way they look after the show, even though the way they looked on stage was completely and utterly unrealistic to maintain. They feel bad about it because that's just, they're not their leanest. They've seen themselves at their leanest, and even though logically they know they can't maintain that, it's still like emotionally they get upset. So they'll post the best of the best of the best, their leanest, their most shredded, the like the ultimate physique, and then they from there on the outside it looks like that's what they're like all the time, but it's just not true. Same thing with strength training. You'll see people posting their best lifts, getting stronger all the time, and it looks like they're just doing so well, and you're like, well, what the hell, why am I not doing that? No one is getting stronger all the time. Everyone has bad days. Everyone's gonna feel like shit in the gym sometimes. That's just part of it. So on my road to a 4 times bodyweight deadlift, I remember very specifically, I hit 405 pounds so my best was 535. I hit 405, and then I took a little bit of time off competing just to build strength. I ended up getting to 485 at a body weight of 132. I believe I did that at an IPA competition. That lift is on YouTube. I think it was an IPA competition. 485. It came up really well. After 485, I had a 9-month stint where my deadlift went down. And just keep that in mind. I went from 485 for a fast single all the way back down to 405 for a grinder. It was brutal. So think about this. If your strength isn't going up as often as you want, imagine going to the gym and seeing your strength actively go down for the better part of a year. I very easily could have quit. I very easily could have been like, screw this, I'm done. But the thing about strength is it always comes and goes in waves and cycles, and sometimes you're going to be stronger, sometimes you're going to be weaker. There's going to be stresses in your life outside of the gym that are going to be impacting it. You can't let what happens in a single session or in a single week or a single month or a single like macro cycle dictate this stuff. You have to just keep going. Now, an interesting lesson that I learned from that, when I was going down in weight, I had changed something in my training. This is just a whole separate discussion, but I was using a conjugate system where I was doing max effort one day and then dynamic effort another day. Long story short, I was on my dynamic effort days when I was supposed to be keeping the weight light and lifting it explosively as opposed to heavy. I changed the percentages from what I knew worked because I wanted to lift heavier weight. So I should have been using between like 40 to 50% of my heaviest weight. I changed it to like 70% of my heaviest weight, 70 to 80%. And even though that wasn't heavy for me, it was enough of a stressor on my nervous system that it negatively affected my max effort days, that my overall strength. So I was doing like 6x3, 8x2, 10 sets of 1 at 70 to 80% on my speed day, which should have been a lighter 40 to 50%, just way lighter. That's why my strength dipped, because I was doing stupid stuff. I wasn't doing what I knew worked. I would never have done that to a client. I would never have given a client those percentages because it made no sense. But for myself, I got in my own head. I was like, I can handle it. A lot of coaches make this mistake. It's why coaches need coaches too. And my strength went down. It wasn't until I put my ego in check and decreased the percentages that, boom, my deadlift started to go up again. Went back from that 405, surpassed the 485 up to the 535 within a matter of a year or so. And that all just came from smart lifting, not being an idiot, getting my ego in check, and remembering we all go through phases of stronger and weaker. That's it. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. If you have any questions, tweet them at me at SYATT Fitness on Twitter. I'm answering these all for we have 15 days left in this 30-day challenge. That's it. Have a good one.